If you follow the path of radical embodiment, radical truth, radical honesty and freedom, love, and embracing the chaotic, almost sounded like coyote, embracing your chaotic, beautiful, genius self, then there will come a point in your life when you must check in with yourself and really look very closely to yourself. What is the most unbearable, or I would say hardcore mask that I carry at this moment? And we all carry masks, and there's time and place for all of this. And something that I have been experiencing, maybe people reflecting back at me, something that I needed to check in with myself. But then it felt like, this is kind of like bigger and more profound than just me. The mask that I got to identify, that I find it quite dangerous and can be detrimental if one has not been practicing asserting the truth within themselves, and also really mastering a sharp discernment. So the spiritual mask, something that I've been really pondering for a while right now, has been speaking to me and teaching me so many twisted turns of this. I look at it even more of like an actual archetype. And especially in the era that we are right now, everyone is identifying so much and so deeply with being spiritual, which is not bad, of course. But there comes a point where you kind of like really fucking, smell the shit under the rag. Like, for real. And the spiritual mask will never actually create or help anyone create a solid foundation in any type of relationship. Personal relationship, monetary relationship, creative relationship. Why? Because the spiritual mask, it almost mesmerizes you to use all of these fancy words and excuses to not be accountable for being human, for owning your mass, for owning that there are actually deep things that you are avoiding and dismissing. But hey, it all makes it right, it all makes it good, because you are spiritual. That is why we experience a crisis in life, crisis in relationships. And I use this analogy, and I've spoken before about the dark goddess, and I want to bring her here in this context. Is there's so many people, like running and trying to attain enlightenment. And of course, there is time and place to like go all the way out into the space. But the one thing that I like, and I'm inspired, always inspired to work with the Dark Goddess, is because she is teaching us, she's teaching the soul to actually descend back into the body, integrate all of the information. Because think about this, you know, especially I'm just gonna use the spiritual world, because I feel sometimes it just fucking became more dysfunctional. It became even more lonely, and it became so like there is a gap. There's a gap and it's not linking in. And I feel that the gap is happening, and it is here because in this era right now, everyone, as I said, is like looking through the screen, trying to find the remedy, trying to find someone that they can relate to, trying to find someone that like, oh, well, she or he gets me. And somehow you get, to cross the paths, and then boom, it's not what you expected. Of course, it's not what you expected. Because again, it's like in this era of spirituality is we are running after something that we want to be, where we want to experience in ourselves, and we dismiss completely the other person that is in front of us. And that is the reason why relationship doesn't work in being spiritual. Why? Because we are running after the high. We want the soul to soul connection, but after the high is gone and you are coming back more into the body, into all of our flaws, we simply don't know how to integrate that. And what happens, we dismiss and we shut down and we put them. So these days, really pay attention and be hyper focused and concentrated on reinforcing this awareness of, is it you that got so identified with the spiritual mask and you became even more dismissive and more avoidant of maintaining something that you really want to take legs in all of your affairs in life? Or is there someone else that you run after, that you are so enchanted with the spiritual mask that became your escapism, and almost avoidant, dismissive avoidant, to maintain an intimate life? And right now, again, this is a time where we had this last few years of liberation, of knowing and going into the space, and now we need to come back into our bodies, because man, it became more lonely and it became more dysfunctional, and all we need to do is to learn how to integrate this gap.